CD&SAM podcast, episode 31. Been a while since we've been on the podcast, but it's also been a while since the Pelicans won. But finally snapped a 10-game skid last night against the Lakers. And so we're here to talk about that and whatever other sports things. I mean, last time we were on here, the NFL playoffs hadn't started. But we're
Now they're in
here
the
on
Super
spot.
Bowl.
Yeah, now we're at the Super Bowl. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. Be sure to do all those YouTuber-y things to help us out. And yeah, let's get into it. So last night, Pelicans snapped the 10-game skid. And just how good was Brandon Ingram last night?
Yeah, I mean, Brandon Ingram has been shaky these first few games back, but today it looked like he had his full confidence. It's good to see that he didn't stop shooting despite his
Yeah.
shots not falling. And I mean, there was no better team for him to do it against than the Lakers.
Yeah, I think in the past, I think he's played well against the Lakers. It's definitely, I think, probably on his mind when he goes up against his former team,
Yeah.
and especially LeBron. But he was the man last night for the team. He kept us in the game in the first half, and then he also really carried us down that stretch with about 5 minutes left, hitting all those tough mid-range jump shots. Just kept us in the lead.
Yeah. Another guy, I mean, CJ started off what was it, 4 for 4?
It was 4 for 4. Yeah, he had he had like 11 points very quickly.
Yeah, and also guys like Jose had a big night, 7 for 11 shooting.
Jose did have a big night. Yeah.
Yeah, 18 points. And the Lakers didn't play a bad game. I mean, you saw Westbrook even hit a few threes. I mean, if Westbrook
he had a couple
threes, I feel like if Westbrook would hit multiple threes, the Lakers definitely would have a winning record. Like if he hit
well, him and Troy Brown Jr. both hit some big shots, and obviously they're not a shooting team. So when they had that going, it was tough to stop because LeBron and Anthony Davis in the pick and roll is just brutal. Connor, your audio cut out.
You there?
Yep. All right, we're back.
All right. Devontae Graham kind of fell out the rotation. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I like what Devontae has tried to do this year, but ultimately he just hasn't been good at it. His defense has been really improved, or at least the effort on the defensive end has been. And if he could get his shot going, I think he'd be really efficient for the Pelicans. But he's sitting there shooting, I think, something like 34% from three, and that just doesn't get it done for a guy that, doesn't do a whole lot else on the floor. So for us, for the team, I think Kyra would probably be the backup point guard for the foreseeable future without Dyson Daniels, because I think he's more versatile as an offensive threat. He can, really drive, and it helps out the Pelicans transition game, which is what we like to get into a lot.
Yeah. Have you gotten a timetable on Dice?
No, I can look it up right now, but I haven't really seen. And then hopefully Valanciunas will be okay.
Yeah. One frustrating thing, though, with Devontae Graham, it's just he relies so much on his three-point ball, and when it's not falling, he's almost just doing nothing out there on the court.
Yeah, I mean, he's had big games this year. I think he dropped 30 one time, but he's ultimately kind of too much of a streaky shooter.
Yeah.
And the Pelicans really need some consistency when it comes to three-point looks, and he's not bringing that right now.
Yeah. You get the timetable for him?
I think he's like day to day ish, because
oh really?
He was, because there's an article about how he was out last night, so that means that they thought there was a chance he would play, right? So I don't know exactly, but hopefully it'll be kind of soon. And then I think Jonas bruised his right knee last night.
Yeah.
So I doubt that he plays tonight, just because on a back-to-back, that's a quick turnaround. So maybe we get to see more Larry Nance, more Billy Hernan-Gomez tonight, probably.
Maybe even, do you think Jackson Hayes will get any rotational minutes?
He definitely could, because
he's so bad on defense, though.
Sabonis. Yeah, he's terrible on defense. He still is. and I'm hoping some team sees some upside in him and we can trade him at the
Yeah.
deadline, but we'll see. Um,
One thing I would like to point out though is Najee Marshall dropped 0 points and he was like the most fired up guy after the game.
oh yeah, I mean that's Najee. He's the hype man,
If
even
that
when
doesn't
he's actually
signify a
good.
leader, I don't know what does, man.
Well, I've said coming into the season that I thought Najee would be kind of the hype man guy, and you know even though he's been really good at times for the team and he's been one of the best players at times, he's still been kind of the hype man role for the Pels. Him and Jose.
Yeah. Now to kind of transition to a new topic. Sam, what do you think the Pelicans are going to do coming up to this February 9th trade deadline?
Well, I'm hoping nothing, right? Because
Why?
I mean, it's a team with a really long title window right now. Like all of the major rotational pieces are going to be here for the next 2 seasons, right? So we know that the title window, if it's not there this year, which I still think there is, I still think it is, but we know it's going to be there for the next 2 years at least, probably even more. And so I don't want to overreact to a 14 day stretch and then potentially you'll ruin your chances in the future years. So I don't want to go out there and spend all your draft picks, maybe give away Dyson Daniels, Trey Murphy, go out there to get a guy like OG Anunoby or maybe Pascal Siakam. I don't think it's worth doing for where the team is right now.
Yeah, for me, it's pretty much what the other teams are like wanting, like what they value their guys at.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I would go ahead.
I think I think that I think the reason we haven't seen a lot of trades yet is because a lot of teams have their players valued way too high right now, just
Yeah.
because of kind of how the offseason reset the player market. I mean, seeing Rudy Gobert go for 5 picks, and if you see Rudy Gobert go for 5 picks, and you have Kristaps Porzingis, and you say, well, hey, this dude's worth at least 3 first-round picks, right? So I think that it's kind of reset the player market, and
They
I,
completely destroyed the market.
yeah, I think that it'll go down as we approach the deadline. But I just don't want the Pelicans to do something that's like a really win now move. And
Yeah.
we are a win now team. I get that. But we're a win 5 years from now team as well.
Yeah. And that's a good place to be as an organization.
Yeah.
Um this Kyrie Irving trade buzz, just kind of aside from the Pelicans, I feel like Kyrie Irving kind of would be a negative asset to a championship team at this point. What's your thoughts on it?
I think it depends on which team. Like, I think he'd have to go to a really stable organization. Like, maybe the Heat would be the only team I could look
That's what I
at and
was
say
thinking. Yeah.
they could get it together with him because, I mean, Spoelstra and Pat Riley just won't put up with it. So I think maybe the Heat would be the only possibility as far as like contending teams. But I also think the Lakers could definitely take a shot at him with LeBron and saying, well, maybe LeBron figures him out and can get him to play basketball and be somewhat content
I feel like
in the locker
LeBron
room.
could like kind of get Kyrie to just buckle down and play basketball.
Yeah, I mean, LeBron's done that with a lot of guys. Look at J.R. Smith, Deion Waiters. I mean, a lot of guys that have LeBron has helped kind of stabilize their career.
Yeah, the Clippers also have emerged as a potential team for Kyrie.
Gosh, I mean, the Clippers. If you had Kawhi Leonard,
If they had their
uh,
guys in their prime, whew,
yeah, I mean, if you have
John Wall.
Kawhi, Paul George, and Kyrie, you're gonna have the load management is gonna be incredible with that
Yeah.
team, and it already is. But um, I don't know. We'll see with Kyrie. Personally, if you offered me Kyrie Irving to the Pelicans and we wouldn't have to give up anything, I would say no. And I think there's a few other teams in the league that are like that. But also, if you do want Kyrie, the market is incredibly low because the
Yeah.
Nets, I don't think, have any power in the situation. Because if they don't trade Kyrie, then I think Kyrie just won't play.
No,
We
the
know he's
Nets
not.
already came out and benched him. They're not playing him until he gets traded.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Yeah, last night it was a right calf soreness,
Yeah.
whatever. So yeah, I think they have to trade him. So if you're the Lakers sitting there and you could give them Russell Westbrook and maybe 2 first-round picks, I think the Nets would be kind of have their hands tied and have to take it.
Russell Westbrook and 2 first-round picks for the Lakers, though, that's decent because the Lakers, those would be unprotected first-round picks for 2027 and 2029. And God
Yeah.
only knows where the Lakers would be then with LeBron and Anthony Davis. So
Yeah, but I think if you could make the move, you'd have to, though,
yeah,
for the Lakers. LeBron has made it, very well known that he's not, trying to play on a non-contending basketball team for his remaining seasons in the league.
rightfully so.
Yeah, definitely. So I think the Lakers, to me, are the front runner, but the Heat, I think, is also a possibility.
Real quick, shout out Drew Holiday for making the All-Star team. We love you,
All-star.
Drew.
Yeah, first time since he was with Philly, I think.
Yeah, 2-time All-Star.
I have to talk about how Jaren Jackson is an all-star
That makes
is
no sense.
maybe I mean he's putting up Miles Turner numbers, averaging about probably 4 more points a
And
game.
he missed the first quarter of the season.
He missed the first quarter. Yeah, he's played I think he's missed like 13 or no, he's missed 17 games. He's played 35 out of 52, I think. So my thought when it was like I was watching it and when they got to the last all-star spot, I thought it really could have been CJ because we know how like eventually at some point if you've been a good veteran player for a long time, you get in the all-star game.
Mike
So
Conley,
Mike Conley, Goran Dragic did it twice actually.
Drew
Um,
Holiday.
yeah, Drew Holiday this year. But so I thought it could have been him, and then if it wasn't gonna be CJ, I thought De'Aaron Fox, Anthony Edwards
I
would have
wanted to
been
get Fox, man. I wanted it to be
yeah.
Fox.
Because Fox has also been really good for a long time, but Jaren Jackson just makes no sense at
Yeah.
all. So I don't really
I
get that
don't
one.
know if it was like the players voted Triple J
It's the
or it was
coaches.
the coaches. It was the coaches.
Yeah, it's the coaches.
Well, I mean, obviously they took priority in defense with Drew Holiday and Triple J both making it.
Yeah, that's probably true. Jalen Brunson probably also should have made it, but
I
I'm okay
love
with that
Jalen
one.
Brunson's game, man.
Yeah, I like him. He's kind of maybe even a little bit similar to CJ. I think I've made that comparison before
I think
with
he's
how
more of
he's
a guard, like point guard than CJ.
yeah, maybe, but like as far as being a guy that has a really good in-between game as a
Yeah.
smaller guard, I think he's a little bit like CJ and a great shot creator, great shot maker.
Yeah. You want to segment into Super Bowl takes?
Oh, Super Bowl. Okay. So me and Connor, we both were hating on the Eagles all year, right? I'm hating on the Eagles now. Uh, as far as the playoffs go, I got most things wrong. My pre-playoff pick though was the Chiefs, so I still got that going for me. But sad to see the Bengals go out. Sad to be wrong about the Eagles. And yeah,
Um, I am now a Chiefs fan. Go Chiefs. I got the Chiefs winning.
go Chiefs.
Isaiah Pacheco. Woo.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I hope the Chiefs win too, but we'll see.
Yeah. It'd be good for Patrick Mahomes' legacy, and I like Mahomes. Kermit the Frog.
Yeah, yes, Kermit the Frog. I don't get why people hate on Mahomes. It's a really
It makes no
weird
sense.
thing
He's
because like he's a really likable guy. He never does
genuine.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, he never like does anything that's like puts him in bad light in the media. He plays for freaking Kansas City, who has a great fan base.
It's not like he plays
Um,
for Dallas or something like that.
yeah, and he's been married since he was like 20, even though his wife is really annoying. But
I think that
I
might be
mean,
the one thing he has against him, his wife.
I guess that's the one thing is people don't like his family, but I mean, you can't really hold that against him.
Yeah.
Um,
He doesn't
and
really, I feel like he doesn't like surround himself or just like compare himself with Jackson Mahomes. Like I feel like
yeah,
I think of Patrick Mahomes, Jackson Mahomes doesn't even come to mind like at all.
Yeah, no, they're a little bit more distant than they were now. But I hope Mahomes gets his second Super Bowl because
Me too.
yeah, he is I think well on his way to being a top 5 all-time quarterback. And I do also just appreciate that the best team in the NFL plays in Kansas City, right? That's the only sport right now that can say that their best team plays in one of its smallest markets.
Yeah.
So that's very cool, I think. So I'm hoping the Chiefs win. But do you have a Super Bowl score prediction?
Okay, so I'm gonna go 34-26 Chiefs.
Okay, I like it. Uh, I will say my Super Bowl history of picking teams is not very good. I think I'm 5-7 overall in my life.
You think?
So whoever I pick, I'd probably bet on the other team. But I think, Mahomes won that one Super Bowl against the Niners. He won it 31-20. And I'm taking the exact same score. Give me 31-20 to the Kansas City Chiefs. I think it'll be a close game for most of the way, but I think the Chiefs pull away in the end.
Yeah. The Eagles are gonna have to figure out or like pass the ball more. They can't because Kansas City has really good up front with guys like Chris Jones
Yeah,
and Big
Christian.
Frank
And
Clark.
Clark Christians, yeah. And I mean, Jalen Hurts hasn't had to do anything yet in
Yeah,
the playoffs. So I think if he has more pressure on him, if the defense has more pressure on them, facing a competent quarterback for once, now I think it could fall apart for the Eagles a little bit. And I've always said I think that the NFL is coaching and quarterback. And when it comes down to it, this is Mahomes' third Super Bowl. This is Andy Reid's fourth Super Bowl, and I'll take that coach quarterback combination over Sirianni and Hurts.
yeah. That's pretty sure Sirianni coached for the Chiefs in the past,
Uh,
but that's for
I mean, it's his first head coaching gig, I think, right?
Yeah, I think it is. Where do you think Aaron Rodgers will wind up?
Well, I think the Packers need to really hope that he demands a trade and that they can
Yeah,
get maybe 1 or 2 first-round picks for him, because the Packers need to hit a reset button, I think. And
I feel like they're kind
um,
of gonna go with like what the Saints are doing right now.
yeah, they're in a very similar position actually. And so I think they need to hit a reset button. I don't know where he would go though. There's not a lot of quarterback spots open. Maybe Las
I've
Vegas,
seen the Jets.
Jets. Maybe I could see. Yeah, maybe New York. There's some appeal there,
Yeah,
and I think they have pretty good draft capital. Um, but
then from
as
like the
of right
Jamal Adams
now,
trade.
yeah, yeah, because Jamal Adams trade. As of right now, where would you or like what do you think the Saints should do going into the season? Because Tom Brady's retirement puts a question mark on what we do.
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, I'd say the Saints are probably the favorites to win the South. I see if the Saints get Derek Carr, I could see us going 10-7, making the either like I guess we'd be the 4 seed. Um, but I wouldn't really think we're Super Bowl contenders at that point. So for the longevity of the franchise, I think it would be better not to do that and kind of like maybe take a year to regain or like retool and regain your assets and then really make a push in like 2 maybe 3 years to be Super Bowl contenders with a young quarterback.
Yeah, I've said ever since that Ravens loss this year when we just got blown out of the building on
That
Monday Night
was
Football
oh,
that it's time to embrace the suck and trade everyone, and we do have a lot of pieces that I think teams would want and that would we get a lot of draft picks back for. But I think the opportunity is obviously there to win the division
no
if
doubt.
Tom Brady really is retiring, and unless the Panthers make a step next year, which if Sam Darnold's the quarterback, that ain't happening. Then I can't turn down a chance at winning the division. Like if we make moves now, I've said in the past that if we make moves to be like 10-7, I'm going to be pissed off that this offseason. But now if we try and do that, then voice crack. Now if we try and do that, I think give ourselves a chance at winning the division, I can't be upset with that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the NFC South is so bad. Even if we do like just ride out with Dalton again or just some
I
other
think we could win
quarterback.
with the
Yeah,
division with
that's what
Andy
I'm
Dalton.
saying. Like we could still win the division with Andy Dalton.
So I think if we just like ran it back with the same team, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world because we definitely still have a chance at winning the division, and we wouldn't be like jeopardizing our future.
Yeah, I mean, then we'd have like a middle round, like a mid first round pick.
Yeah, that's true. But I think either I think still rebuilding wouldn't be the worst thing. I guess I don't think that the Saints can go wrong with what they do because either they rebuild or they give themselves a really good chance at winning the division,
Yeah,
which is
it'll
a
be
good spot to be
interesting.
in.
It'll be interesting to see what we do with our first round pick this year. Move up.
Yeah, now
Back.
getting back into the first round with the Sean Payton trade was a big win, I think, for the Saints.
Who knows? We might move up and take C.J. Stroud. Who
I
knows?
mean, we'd have to move up pretty high,
Yeah, I
but
know.
yeah, we could try and move up and draft one of those like middle round quarterbacks. We'll see.
30th pick and Alvin Kamara. Give me that second overall pick.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Give them. Well, I guess the teams up top wouldn't want to trade with us, but we'll
Yeah.
see. Maybe I think we'll move up a little bit to try and get one of those. Maybe get one of those quarterbacks. If not, get defensive lineman, something like that.
All right.
Is that all? That's all the takes for today.
Think so. Cue the
All
outro.
right, go Pels. Another game tonight.
Dude, if we win
Baseball
tonight,
season's
that'd be
coming up.
so big.
Would be very big because I think then we'd move 3 games out of fourth, which I think is still the goal, or 3 games out of third, I should say.
Third?
And if not, yeah, I think we're 4 games out right now. And if not, the goal is still to
Get the Kings.
to play the Kings in the first round and go from there. But yeah, that'll do it. Thank you for making it all the way. If you did, it's been a while, but if the Pelicans win occasionally, we should be here pretty often.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll do it. Cue the outro.
7 CD. CD and Sam.
CD&SAM.